الله الرحمن الرحيم والحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. The Sheikh is starting his lecture as usual with a dua to Allah Azza wa Jal to accept from us and to bless our gathering and to make our disperse from after that as a sacred one and not to prevent us from the reward of this meeting. Ameen. Tonight's lecture is something about the American dream that a lot of young people talk about in this community, in this young. We're not talking about Yawm al-Qiyamah, which is to have a house they said this dream is a legitimate dream, but you need to find the right way of doing it. You cannot do this through the mortgage banks unless with the necessities that is required, that is extremely necessary. You cannot just make it easy on something that is a major sin that Allah has declared word in His book. Allah said, if you did not do, like to leave the usury, then settle for a word from Allah and His Messenger. Now, Wallah alhamd, we find solutions, we have alternatives. In this country, there is a lot of Muslim institutions, financial institutions that are part of an Islamic, with several ways to find different alternatives, an Islamic alternative that prevent you from going into the usury or the banks that go to take you to the things that are not permissible, that is haram. If you remember my talk to you earlier a few years about the first Islamic bank, to establish the first Islamic bank, I mentioned to you before the first Islamic bank, it came on a very basic idea. It's very easy, that it was developed later on. It took the loan between the bank and the and the difference between qard, which is loan, and qirat, which the Sheikh is going to explain right now, the difference between the two expressions, which is the difference between what is permissible, what is forbidden. And to remind you very quickly about what we mentioned, I mentioned to you before that the deal itself, to make the conditions of the bank, it's when people put their investment, they take it as loans because they own it, and they compensate them when they can. He don't keep it in his own iron vaults. No, he owns it. He invested into given loans, and whomever asks for his money, he will give him the equal of it, and he keeps a certain percentage. In the Islamic alternative, he said, no, we have an Islamic alternative which is called al-mudaraba. Like someone who has money but he don't have the experience, and one who have experience but don't have money. So it's they have both interest where they could combine their effort and their money to make an investment. And that's the same idea. That's how the bank take money from all investors, and he found alternative to find Islamic. They try to find an Islamic alternative. The normal bank, he takes the loan with a small percentage and return it back, and he give others a loan for a higher interest, and he make the difference between the two interests is his profit. The Islamic investor or bank, they come and they go and into the investment, and they go back with a higher profit, and they go in. That's the idea, but they go into more details. Of course, there's a lot of development from this idea. It became to completely different issue, because it's the same development of the airlines from a simple airline to a higher to what we see now, like supersonic airplanes and speed, stuff like this. So let's talk tonight about how those companies in the Islamic alternative, how they could bring a Islamic product that's going to be different than the regular banks loans. The traditional one that everybody knows, which is al-musharaka, which is partnership that is finished with ownership. What does it mean? All contracts are permissible unless, except for some exceptions. But not every new company should be on the same model that they had before. Any way you put this contract, the Muslim economists could make it is accepted. The Sheikh is summarizing what he's saying. He's saying that all contracts are permissible unless they come with something that is known that it is wrong. And they don't have to have one form, no, but there's like the simple idea that came innovated later on and became much better. The simple, you want to buy a house, you don't have any capital, and I have money, and I want to invest it. So we meet. How much you have? I have 20% of the house. Okay, I'll pay the 80%, and me and you, we buy this house, and we are partners. So we bought the house. As a company, I bought 80, and you paid 20. So we own that house. But you want to live? I will rent to you my 80%. So you own 20, you paid that 20%, and you are renting my 80%. So when I'm going to own it, I don't want to rent, I want to be the owner at the end. I will give you gradually to become the owner, to buy my share. How? For example, it has $2,000 rent, and you own 20%, so you own 1/5, which is 400 of the 2,000. So when you pay 1,600, you're gonna pay 1,600, not the 2,000. but I will take 2,000. Why? I'll take the rent of the 80, and I'll take this 400. So you'll own my share. At the end of the year, 12 times 4 is 5,000. So I'll give you 5,000 more in the house, and I will decrease my part, and it will decrease your rent. Yesterday you were owning 20, now is 25%. So I'll take 75, not the 80, and then it goes decrease. My part will decrease, and you part will increase until you are 100% and I'm 0. And I come out and I'll find someone else beside you. By the way, it is good. It's not only houses. It could work onto also in businesses. I know one merchant in Egypt. He is expert in kids' clothes, and he said, "I want to take my brothers, instead of working for people don't have mercy or prevent from prayer, I will make them owners. I know how to make the kids' clothes." So I got some of the young guys. He said, "I will make a plant to produce the clothes from my own money, and you work for me. Everyone will take from his from your salary. I will take percentage, and I will make you owners of this plant. And after that, I will go and I'll go somewhere else. This way, I will have the community to be self-sufficient, and will make my employees being owners, 100% owners of the plant." And it worked. It had difficulties. That has nothing to do with that idea. It's for other issues of some weakness from whatever politics or other issues, other factors. But this is what the Islamic institution, basically the idea is developed around. I will give you my share. You own my share by renting or paying me the rent, and you pay me more of the rent. So until you pay me the whole thing. But what is the problem? The problem is, like, if we are partners, we have to both pay the taxes. If we are both owners, then both have to pay the taxes. You pay 80% and I pay 20. You cannot tell me that I have to pay all the insurance and all the maintenance on me. Is there anyone who rents a house and the owner, he said, "You pay the insurance and you pay everything"? No. Now, if there is a leak in the roof, it's me? No. So why is he renting? You are getting benefit from the house, but for rent. And the house has to be in good condition, so I'll be able to live in it. If the ceiling is leaking, I cannot be as a renter to fix that. But the maintenance of, like, throw the trash, cutting the lawn, that's fine, that's different. But the major ones, no. Everybody agreed that it's on the owner, not on the renter. So why you refuse to share with your percentage in the house to take all responsibilities of taxes, insurance, and maintenance, the basic insurance? He's still, the problem is that he's still that lone spirit in him. He don't want no risk. He don't want to follow. He don't want a headache. He don't want to get indulge into uh, all the other factors. So he's trying to have an exit from all that headache, and he want to deal only with numbers. But the one who have real estate, no, he is take care of his real estate. Or he bring a rental company that's going to manage his real estate. Most of real estate investors, they have a management company that manage their estate, just like the apartment complex next to us. The owners are different than the management. The management is a company that will come in and they take care of the rents and they take care of the maintenance and all the services that is required. Within 24 hours after you call them, they come and do the maintenance in the apartment, and you don't worry about anything but paying the rent. Unless you do something that's intentionally, then that's a different issue. So we tell them, my brothers, you have to be careful about this meeting, because this will affect the legality of this from an Islamic point of view. And they will say, oh, we are the person is benefit from the house. Yes, but you're getting paid for the rental. You didn't give it to him for the sake of Allah. No, but you are a partner. Partner need to be responsible for the percentage that you own. So any responsibility on the house should be sure it depends on the percentage between the bank, Islamic bank, and the resident. It is a responsibility of the owners. It all depends on their percentage. Another important issue, the bank don't want no risk. When I signed the contract, I'm giving them 80% of rent. There is an agreement that you're going to buy the house with a certain number. But you want to make sure that the person, if he have work somewhere else and he leave the house and leaves, how are they going to solve the problem? This is the most complicated, even the regular banks, that no one want to continue paying for the rest of the period of the mortgage. So how do you solve this problem? Someone says 8 years and then he decided to leave. How are we going to, how are you going to solve this problem? In the normal mortgage, he said, I am just a loaner. I give a loan. You owe me money. You bought a house, and I took a lien on this house. I still own the title, and I could foreclose it to get the rest of my money. This is how the bank guarantee their money. They take liens on the property. At the end, he wants the end of his money. He don't care how much he sells it, he wants his money. Even the law, you have to sell it within a certain period, because the bank is a merchant of money, not anything else. And this is the traditional bank system. That's how they deal. You pay 100,000 and the interest 200. You get 150. He still own 150. He'll pay 150 and he gets his money. That's all. But you cannot do that in Islamic bank. When we're talking about an investment, we are partners. You don't own the money, you own a share. So if the man left in the middle, we sell the house and we 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 divide the money, depends on the percentage of each one. Now the renter is owned 45% and the bank is 55. Then you sell it and 55% goes to the bank and 45 to the other person. This is the simple agreement. But some people say no, that if he can't, then he owes money. I need a certain percentage of money if that happened. Again, he is still have the spirit of a loan, as if deep inside he is someone who gives the loan, not as an investor. He don't want to go to the foreclosure. He just becomes it's a loan, not it's not an investment. So if somebody don't pay the money, then he have to give the money back. Not he don't care about the house. But this is not permissible, as the Sheikh had indicated earlier. And the Sheikh is discussing what is the point of the bank. And this is part of the problems that still exist in the Islamic institutions, and they're still under renovations and still being fixed. We are trying to show where is the problem. We're not against any Islamic idea, no. We are encouraging, but we want to make sure that it is done the right way. We need to think with them. We need to innovate with solutions to the problems. What are permissible? The understanding it is the the fiqh is to have the right answer from the trusted knowledgeable person. Like for example, when they tell you the taxes and the maintenance, can't we use that as part of the rent? But like I reduce the rent because I don't have people who is going to go in the details. He could find all the stuff he wants, and from the beginning I will reduce the rental in return that he will take care of all these three things: taxes, maintenance, and so on. Okay, that's fine, but we still have a small problem. The rent has to be known. When you rent a house or a car, you know how much you are paying for rent. It can't be something unclear. You could see the taxes, but the maintenance, something is unknown because God knows when it's going to happen a problem in the house. How much is it going to be? This is something impossible. So there is a fog about how much is the money for maintenance. The Sheikh want to make sure that everybody understood what he's saying. So I say, my beloved brothers, there is still some fog about defining the rent when there is something is unknown. maybe 10 years will happen with no problem. And maybe one day there'll be a strong wind that's going to cause a problem. The rent is something uh, that has to be clear, and that's why we do not say that it is voided contracts, but this is a contract that you could use when there's a necessity, and maybe there will be a fixing. The seller sometimes he prefer to have that than the regular definite haram bank, because a contract that has a doubt in it is better than something that is clearly haram. Some people say 100% or zero. No, there's no such thing. If I have halal 90%, another contract that is haram by 100%, no, logically, stay with the less damage. As we said before, no one. Some people say, "Oh, the bank Islamic, they are just like making fun of us, uh, and they are the same thing. It's just with a different form." Well, I answer by saying, "What are you talking about? I mean, in the traditional bank, it's very clear that it is haram, but with this one, at least there is some problems, but not." But it is definitely a replacement for the traditional banks. And this is about the first idea, which is the rent, where you rent to own. Of course, it still need to be developed and need to change on so many areas, but it's getting better every time. Some people say, by the way, I found that the house is cost me more than its value with a regular bank. We understand that, and our advice, we need to go to the owners of the owner of those banks, not to use Islam to take advantage of people. Because not everyone will go to accept all uh, all those extra money, and some people will count it to the cheaper and easier to deal with, and we tell them halal or haram, they don't care. It is a fitna, test from Allah. Same thing like the Jews when the whales came to them, or the fish came to them on Saturday when they're not supposed to fish. Like the one who is doing ihram in Hajj, you find all those things that you hunt, they're right there next to you. But Allah is testing you, so He will know who fear Him and who doesn't. And whomever go exceed the extreme, Allah Azza wa Jal has a severe punishment. Even with the halal meat, you see how the bound meat compared to the regular meat, how much is the difference? It is multiplied by a lot. If it is 2, it's 5. If you could handle this, because you want to eat halal, permissible sources. Because any body that is raised on something haram, then the hellfire can get it. So you give the advice to those who own the Islamic halal places to reduce the prices to make it easier for people to buy halal products. And of course, a small business that only deal with a small number of animals, his cost is very high. But when we're talking about major companies that slaughter hundreds of thousands a year, of course the cost is different. So their competition capability is bigger. The small slaughter place cannot compete with the big companies. So all of us need to be patient with the other. You should be patient about seeking halal resources. And as someone with a halal business, you try to take care of people's money and their capabilities, so you don't take advantage of people. So it is a road with two. It's a two-way highway that people can benefit from both sides if they work together. And this first idea, this is rent to own, is not the only idea. No, we have different ideas, and the Sheikh has mentioned one. Inshallah, we'll continue with this on next Thursday. Inshallah, we'll come with more details, inshallah. But now we just want to know what does it mean to have rent to own and some of the problems, the issues that goes with it, and what is permissible into it. And we said the problem is when you give the renter more what he need to give them, and because of the need and the lack of alternatives, the fatwa is to allow to deal with those at time of need. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت أستغفرك وأتوب إليك.